So we're going to get started. So I'm hoping that this session is something that is going to be really good for you. So today's session is just to give us an insight into what employers are looking for, how to get your mindset ready for the career environment or the works. One important statement that I'd like all of us to take from here is while we may be discussing life after school and while the world may also be talking about life after school, you do not have to wait till after school for you to start building your life after school. That is one critical thing that I have learned from a lot of successful people, and most especially from the Western culture. They don't necessarily have to wait for you to wrap up with school for you to start thinking about what next in your life. So if there's anything you take from today's session, take the fact that I don't have to wait for after school to start building my life after school. But also understand as well that if you have finished school and you're just starting to put together these building blocks, it's also okay. This conversation is just to give a lot of people who are still in school, who are still even planning to get into university, a little bit of a head start, just so that you know that you don't necessarily have to wait till you graduate, then you do NYC, then that's when your mom or your dad or your auntie or your uncle will say, okay, what would you like to do next? The Western culture will not necessarily wait for that, especially people in the higher 1%. So in today's session, we'll be covering the introductory section. We'll be covering building confidence. We'll be covering one thing I'm very passionate about, which is experience into skills conversion. We would cover a bit of CV building and a bit of interview prep. I may not follow this structure in a regimented way. This is about salary negotiation, office etiquette, and really how to stand out in the workplace. So we will be getting started, so let's get started. So I'll skip that first slide, but I'm going to go back to it. Does anybody know who is on your screen? There's somebody I'm sharing on the screen now, who the young lady is. If you want to answer, please do. You can use the comments or unmute and then just go ahead.
Okay, that's Beyonce's daughter.
Okay, fantastic. That is Beyonce's daughter. And I'd like us to just take a look at the screen just to see a bit more about her career. So this particular timeline document that I have on the screen is up to date, I think about February or so, or July this year. So it hasn't covered a full range of her, let's call it her portfolio or her life or her experience, right? So let's take a look at her timeline. So this young lady is, I think, is she 14 now? I think she should be 14 years old now. 2012 till now. Let somebody do the math. Singer, dancer, voice actress, and especially in The Lion King. But let's look at her timeline. Right, first things first. Born January 7th in New York City, and at the age of 2 days old, not 2 years, not 2 months, at the age of 2 days old, her father featured her voice in his song Glory at the time. And she was indicated as a feature on that particular song and accorded some revenue for that. So you can see that her parents already understand the fact that in a world where, yes, she may be a Nepo baby, but these are how you build the Nepo baby building blocks. If as a parent they already have the access, they would use it legitimately so that before this young lady is 10 years old, she already has quite a lot of experience. And then people will not, it's one thing for you to give somebody access or connection to do something. And it's another thing to say that this person has a track record. So from the day she was 2 days old, the lady has already started walking. She has already started building her global portfolio at the age of 2 days old, not even up to even a year. Then in 2020, her voice again used Brown Skin Girl. That's the song that was with Wizkid and Beyonce, and she won an Image Award for that. Same thing. Okay, in I think the timeline is messed up. Okay, then yes, then in 2023 as well for the same song, but it was a live performance. I don't know if you remember the live performance that Beyonce did in Dubai, and her daughter was there. So already we are seeing that this lady's track record is being built up. In that same 2023, she did her debut what do you call it? She was debuted as a dancer on her mom's Renaissance tour. That is adding to her portfolio as well. And then in 2024, voice actress for The Lion King. And then in this year again, she became a full-time dancer on the Cowboy Carter tour. As at the time that this document was done, I think July this year, if or so, her estimated worth was about $500 million. But I know that is a lot more right now. And the major achievements, youngest person on the Billboard charts, Grammy Award winner, and all those things, all those awards coming in before this young lady was even probably 11 years old. So I'm going to stop sharing for a bit, and then we'll have a conversation around why I said that. The global community, they understand the need to grow your portfolio, about growing your brand portfolio, and they understand that the job market out there is very feisty, right? So coming down to our own sector, to our own nation, to our own lives, to our own career space, a lot of people would say, oh, first class, top of the class, I was winning this award, I was winning that award. And then when you enter a community where you have 5 first classes, how do you stand out? You enter a community where there are 1,000 2 ones. How do you stand out? There is a need to start looking at your life and start looking at the world around you to see how to start paying attention and extracting some of these details, some of these experiences, so that you can translate them to real life experiences. So for example, I always like to use myself as an example. In my house during the holidays, we were not necessarily allowed to just stay at home, especially during long holidays. We're not exactly allowed to just stay at home. If there's no reason for us to travel as a family, the next possible thing is that you are required to do some sort of internship. I had my first internship officially when I was in GS3. And that particular internship came as a result. It was a compulsory internship because of the type of secondary school I went to, where they require that every single person in GS3, after going to C school, you have to do some sort of internship. So the internship was like a work experience program. It wasn't long, it was just like a month, right? And you're required to go there, show up every day, Monday to Friday, or depending on the schedule, and give a report of your activities. At that time, it may look like, oh, these people are just taking my holiday. Why are you stressing me out? Why are you taking, I've been in school for, most of my life. Why are you taking 1 month out of the 2 months that I have for holiday? Or why are you taking 2 weeks out of the 1 month that I have for holiday? But they understood the principle of building life experience and being able to stand out. So for example, I did quite a few internships as I was growing up. And one of my first internships, let me back up a little bit. Growing up, I wanted to be a doctor, right? And then JAM gave me pharmacology, which I did for my undergrad. So as at secondary school, my target was to be a doctor, which means that I had to get an internship in a hospital. So for about a month, I was showing up Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the hospital. It's not like I had to be a doctor or anything, but doing little things. Oh, vitals here, this and that, this and this. Building the smaller experience that would have been the groundwork for me to become to enter into the medical field, right? And beyond that, it also helped me build other skills like communication skills, organization skills, my time management skills, and all of that skills. And that was well before I even got into senior secondary school. Then the following internship that I had to do was I had to work in a stockbroking firm, and that one I think I did that just before SS1, right? And I also had to show up every day during the holidays. It was also a month, show up every day, do paperwork, do research, do things, within the stockbroking community. So at that time, it felt like I was being forced to wake up every morning at a certain time, get to the office early, close, and then come back, and I'm tired. But already by the time I was getting into university, I had to put together my CV. If not for anything, I already had at least 2 internships that I could say I had done just in that short period of time. Now, why am I saying this? I'm not saying this to glorify my experience, but I'm saying this because each and every one of you have the opportunities in one way or the other to access some level of experience, some level of work experience. Now, it doesn't have to be in the office. I know a lot of people, sometimes they graduate and they want to do NYSC. Before NYSC, they're probably looking for a job or an internship, and it's like they have zero experience on their CVs. But if you look at their lives, they've helped. Maybe their mom owns a supermarket, maybe their dad owns a shop, maybe their dad owns a business, and you show up there in the morning, even if all you did was stock taking, even if all you did was, counting, doing inventory management. Okay, we received 5 tins of water, 5 bottles of water today, we sold this. Those little things, it may not occur to you now that those things are life experiences, and those things can actually be put on your CV. The difference between you and another person will be, how do I look at that job that I did during the summer for 2 weeks, that my auntie's shop I went to, that my even volunteering with the NGOs. Sometimes you volunteer with the NGOs, sometimes if you're in the religious activities, whether in the mosque or in church, you have assisted with hosting maybe a Feed the Widows program or Feed the Orphans program, or you have even been in you've even been probably in a group within your religious organization, either your mosque or in church, and you are part of a group, or maybe you've led a group, or you achieved a project. Maybe they said water housing project, and you were there as maybe the admin person or the general secretary. Start looking at those aspects of your lives and bringing it down to school now. Some of you are actively participating in school in one way or the other. Some of you are part of associations, some of you are part of fellowships, some of you are part of the associations, departmental associations. Some of you have been class reps, some of you have led sports teams, some of you have hosted competitions, some of you have probably done when they put together the organizing committee for maybe a pageant or an essay writing competition, or you have even won any of those things. My charge to you today would be, sit back and look back at your life. Look at those things that you may have assumed that, okay, these things are not worth it. Look at it critically and say, what skills did I learn from being the treasurer at ABC Sports Club in your in your university right now? Because I know everybody here is in the uni, in your university right now. What as the president of maybe the small investment club, even if you are just 10 people, that in itself is a huge skill and a huge addition to your portfolio. For example, you'll be saying that, okay, we are just 10 people, what am I doing? What you have done is, if you've successfully hosted a conference, even if it's only 20 people that came, you guys sat down, you put together a program plan, you probably went out and looked for sponsors, you built a budget, you monitored the budget, you disbursed funds, months, you held a successful event, even if it's only 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, 50 people that came, and there were no hitches. You were able to give an end of whatever event report, and you brought external speakers. So you can see that what you have learned from there, organizational skills, a little bit of finance and budgeting skills, if you are not already in economics or finance. And you can see that with those little things, those little things about your life, you are already building your portfolio around yourself. The only question now is, how do I convert this my life experience down to what I can put on a CV that an employer can see, and that an employer can say, okay, this person, I want to give them a shot. Right. I know that some of us probably because I know going back to maybe primary school, there are some schools that did it, though mine did not necessarily do it. They used to have this school president or some maybe head girls or head boys that you had to campaign for and then be on the ballot, and people will vote for you. That self is also a skill conversion. If you went to the type of school where they just appointed you head girl, that is also something to consider in terms of skill conversion, because it means that a group of people, either is the teaching staff and the principal, or the student community, if it was the type that voted you, saw a lot of confidence in you to say that, yes, we want to make this person a head girl, we want to make this person a head boy, we want to put this person in charge of our socials, we want to put this person in charge of our labor prefect or anything. So look at your life experience so far. Go as far back as you can remember, not even just in the formal environments. Look at your informal environments. Look at your holidays. Look at the things that you did. Look at the things that you volunteered in. Did you set up any clubs? Were you part of any clubs? Did you just think about your life and say, okay, how best can I convert this thing to what an employer would see and say that, okay, yes, this person has a little bit more that I can consider when looking at trying to hire someone. So I'll give you an experience with myself when I am reviewing certain people's CVs to consider for a certain role. So for example, there are some roles that are not necessarily specialist or professional roles, right? So you know that, okay, for probably an accountant at a certain level, you need them to have ICANN, you need them to have this and that. For a doctor, that one is a different specialized skill. For a legal personnel, that one has to be a member of the bar and has passed their bar exams. But for the more intimate part of the company, right? So like in the operations side, like in the administrative side, depending on the requirements of the company, I may not necessarily be looking for only what is on the job description when I'm trying to evaluate. So I'll use this LCN campus network, for example. The very first campus manager that we had when he was coming in as a graduate trainee. One of the reasons why I gave the extra tick on him was because he had hosted investment clubs in his university before, just that singular act, and I saw it on his CV and I was like, okay, this flagged my interest, and I asked a bit more questions, and with that, just that alone was able to convince me to get my vote for him. And he was one of the founding people that started off this LCN network. So when you are thinking about putting your CV together, and we'll get to the do's and don'ts, don't limit yourself to the place where they necessarily paid you. You showed up morning to 5 p.m. and they paid you, even if it's 5,000 or 10,000. Don't limit yourself to that. Think about the broader part of it. That's why there's a part of your CV that talks about volunteer experience. There's a part of your CV that talks about your hobbies. There's a part on your CV that also talks about your professional experience outside what is exactly in your line. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of this slide. This particular slide is one thing that I'm very passionate about, because For people going into the workplace, one of the first things that you tend to see from the first time people trying to get into the career is that they are always afraid. They are always worried. You see, you get into an interview and someone is trying to interview them. The person may have a first class, the person may have a great CV, but the person is so afraid that their voice is shaking and they can't engage in a conversation. I'm sure that we all know that in a state of fear, it's harder to get the best out of anybody in a state of fear. So one of the first things I'll tell you is, as you're preparing yourself to do interviews, as you're preparing yourself to get into the workplace, kill fear, kill it. Even if you have to pretend for that few seconds, kill it. Because the question is, okay, this is a typo. That's an H. So the first thing that another thing that I usually say is that in that moment where you're trying to get a job and you are completely terrified coming into that interview, you did not have the job coming in. So the only thing that you probably had to lose is your transportation to the interview center or the data if it was a virtual interview. So in that moment, be confident. In that moment, be confident, because you literally have nothing to lose at that point. Is if you're probably already in the job and then you need to do an interview to see whether you keep the job, then you now start calculating, okay, I was collecting 300,000. If I don't do well in this interview and I lose this job, where am I going to get income from? In that moment, you did not have the job. So if you have to pretend for that short period of time that you are confident, that you are bold, that there's no fear, pretend. The moment you walk out of the interview place or the moment you click end in your virtual interview, you can, if you want, permit all the fear you want to come back. But in that moment, you have not lost anything. So be confident. Kill fear and choose faith. A lot of the things that people tend to say is, oh, I'm not good enough. My GPA is too low. I finished with a 3rd class. JAMB gave me my course and I hate it. There are no jobs for my course in Nigeria. These are some of the common sayings that you tend to see with people job seek, and a lot of these things are untrue. You're not good enough. There are people who are not as good as you and they are thriving in their workspaces. How did they get there? Not all of them got in by connections. Yes, some did, but not all of them. So why is it not you that will get into that space? My GPA was too low. There are people with low GPAs that are working. There are people with 3rd class that are working, that have jobs. There are people who are working in a space that's completely different from what they studied. I am a great example about of that. I did my undergrad, like I said, in pharmacology, and I did my master's in human resources. But right now, I'm an operations manager at the Commodities Exchange. While I'll take us back to some of my life experience, that I'll tell you that I told you that I did when I was 13 or so, that 13 to 15, one of that, but not more than 15, I did a 1-month internship with my stockbroking firm. When I was interviewing at the very beginning, about 6 years ago, at LCFE, I had to draw on the experience that I got from that stockbroking firm, because that was one of the only connections that I had to the capital market. But thankfully, I had done that. So I was able to draw on the experience I learned there to respond in that interview. And it had been the basis for me to learn and grow in this space. You even dwell a bit more on this particular slide so you can see. So for example, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. So I like to draw a bit more from when I'm talking from the church, but it's also something you can replicate as well in other religions if it applies to you. But if you have questions, you can just tell me a bit more about your experience and we can draw the life experience out from that and convert it into skill. So at my church, I worked in the media department for 10 years. So when we talk about media department, you're talking about the department that's in charge of sound. You're talking about the department that's in charge of the screens and projection of lyrics, flyers, things like that. The department that is in charge of social media, the department that is in charge of photography, editing and putting on social media, the department that is in charge of live streaming all the programs, all the services on on social media, right? And I did that for 10 years so between when I got out of secondary school up until when I finished university. So thankfully, I studied in Lagos. So my primary location is in Lagos. So I was able to do my university in Lagos. So that time period I was in Lagos, I was doing that every Sunday, being in that environment. And then the question will now be, what life skills can you get from being in the media department in church? I can guarantee you that a lot of people in the media space today that are succeeding in the media space, they had their start from the church. A lot of photographers today that are doing the big things that they are doing, that now they are photo artists, they have the brand name, they have their studios. A lot of them started with using church camera. A lot of them started with using church video equipment. A lot of them started learning photo editing in the church for free. A lot of them started doing live streaming that now these people have left the country and they have full big media outfits that they are doing outside the country, and they learned it using free equipment in the church. So while that is still in the informal sector, it has helped a lot of people build their entrepreneurial experience, right? Also, for people who in the music sector as well, we know that a lot of people started out singing in the choir and then they built. So everywhere you find yourself, the question is always, are you diligent where you are? Whether it's in your social group, whether it's in the tennis club, whether if you attend a gym. I know that there are some gyms that they built a community, that they have committees, they have they have president, they have this, they have that, and they are accountable to each other. They give out end of year reports, and those things, what you are learning in those environments, you are learning teamwork. You may be learning technical skills. You are learning public speaking. I know there are a lot of people that built their public speaking abilities in the volunteer space, not even in school. Some people never said a word in school, but in church, either it starts with reading the Bible, or it starts with giving announcements during school activities. That's like, I'm talking about outside the classroom now, though. So being able to look at your life and really understand how best to draw some of these life skills, teamwork, and presentation skills. Some of us learned how to use PowerPoint from the media department. Some of us learned how to put together marketing decks from how we're engaging with people. Some of us had to stay in our mother's shops and we learned how to manage books. Like, oh, you came in today, you sold recharge card, you're able to keep the record so that your mother will not kill you, that money is gone, that kind of thing. We learned so many life experiences, but when we learn that life experience, we're now putting together in the buckets when we want to start looking for a job. When you are allowed to translate those skills now into real life skills. So don't look at the places where you are not being paid money. Don't look down on those places. Those places are building the person that you are. Your ability to stand and speak, your ability to stand in front of the UN, it starts with the little presentations that you made when you were younger, and you've been able to grow over time. And trust me, you will make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with making those mistakes. But the thing is, what happens after you've made the mistakes? Now, I think I have a slide on networking. Okay, I'll go to that. But what I'll also add is that as you're in these areas, the volunteer groups, departmental faculties, small groups, church groups, informal internships, NGOs, and things like that, be diligent. Be diligent, because a lot of the people that enter the workspace, they enter through networking. And some of them, it's not the type of networking where they schedule a networking event and they tell you, oh, go and network. It's from your life experiences. If you have been successful in your faculty and you have, maybe your president knows that, Lola is trustworthy. She held our money, no money missed. And they are looking for an accountant or a finance expert in a job that he's working in. Do you think he will not want to recommend you? He would want to recommend you. But imagine if during your tenure, that is when money disappeared. There was a time when I was in school. I don't know whether it was with the president and the treasurer. Both of them ran away with money at some point. And then imagine if they come now and they want to probably work with the exchange. The moment I see their name and see their face, I will either do one of two things: recommend not to interview, or two, stay completely away from the recruitment process. And if they ask me why, I will not say why. But obviously, I'll go back and say, this is what I experienced in school. The person may have changed, but this, especially if the person is coming into a very, what's the word? A very sensitive position, like maybe in the accounts department or maybe compliance or something. So as you are going about those things, please be diligent. If they say we need to be at a so and so place at 8 o'clock and you are showing up at 12 o'clock, the people who you have let down will not be comfortable recommending you to go for a job interview because you may arrive late. Or if you have a lackadaisical attitude to how you do work, people will be a bit, drawn back to say that, and if I go and recommend this particular person now, is it my name in the mud? Because let me tell you something, when people recommend people to organizations or to other people, what they are saying is that, because my name is Nkechi, what I'm saying is that take Lola, see Lola's CV. I am recommending Lola. You can trust Lola because you can trust Nkechi, right? People will take recommendations from people they trust because they believe that they will only recommend people they trust. I have a boss till today, before she will put out any advert on LinkedIn, she will check her entire circle first. 90% of the hirings that my boss has done is through the circles. She will call this person. Oh, Nkechi, I want to hire an executive assistant. This is what they need to do. Do you know anybody that you trust? They will call this person. The reason why they're doing this is not because they want to be, what do you call it? It's not because they want to be impartial or unfair, but because they believe that their business is of utmost importance to them. So they need people that are trustworthy. A lot of people, when hiring people, have gotten themselves burnt. A lot of the time, some of the people here that may have had to leave the exchange based on some tumultuous exits, a lot of the time you start thinking, especially if it's somebody that was recommended by someone, you can say, and this person, it was Nkechi that brought this person on. Why is she behaving like this? So you there being recommended by someone, you are not just standing there as yourself. You are standing there as the person that brought you. And it's the best thing you can do is to ensure that you are of your utmost best behavior. Amira is saying, I've always loved bringing people together, like families, friends, cousins, for picnics, soirees, and small gatherings. How can I translate this into a skill I can confidently include on my CV? My dear, you're an event planner. So while the term, why are you full laughing? While the term in itself, I'm saying an event planner, not because I want you to look only at event planning, but I want you to look at the peculiarities with putting an event together. One of the hardest things to be able to do is to bring individuals together. People can be very annoying. I will say it with my full chest. People can be annoying, but the fact that you are so organized enough. Yeah, Fatima is laughing. You know people are annoying. If you open every day, you open Instagram and Twitter, you're like, God, what is this? What's going on? Anyway, so what you're doing is that you are looking at, you are an organizer. You're an organized person, right? You are bringing people together for a purpose, for a specific goal. And the fact that you can bring them together from the point of idea, planning, organizing to execution, that in itself is a huge thing. And there's a role that some people may not understand. There's a role called project management. So project management is a huge industry today, and I am a project manager. I'm a professional project manager. I do that as well. So it just depends on what area. So it might be that it may be a project manager for executing projects. I don't know if anybody has heard about FinTribe before or Financial Jennifer. I don't know if any of the ladies have heard about any of those two names before, but project managers are responsible for executing projects. It could be a conference, it could be even a wedding, because for my wedding, I didn't want event planners. So I got a group of project managers that I trusted. I planned it and I handed it over to them to execute, people that I know and have worked with before. It could be weddings, it could be for the execution of events at an organization. So for example, now, if like at LCFE, we are constantly hosting events, either with the Lagos State government, with the Securities and Exchange Commission, with PENCOM, with different people. And I need to know that I can trust you and say, okay, take this project. The project is this event. This is the objective. This is the outcome. What you would now do as a project manager for that project is to sit down and put together the entire project outline. See the resources that you need. Put together the budget. Identify the relevant vendors that are required. Once you identify those vendors that are required, get approval from whatever management you need to get approval for. Pay them their deposit and pay the balance. On the day of the event, ensure that the event runs smoothly. So my dear Amira, you can very well definitely translate this into a real life skill, because it is a real life skill. But if you're looking at considering project management, do a bit more research on project management, because it looks like something that you'll be good at, either in the conference or in the event space, or if you want to enter into the more technical space, because in the technology space, project managers are the 4 points of every project. So when I'm talking about a project, like in the technical space, it could be they're building a mobile app. It could be they're building a website for an organization. So your job is to ensure that every single person within that sector you manage. So people like the software developers, people like the QA testers, people like the communications people who are drafting, people like the graphics designers, people like the photographers. So my dear, there's a lot of ways that you can translate it. So let's try and get back on track. So I trust that we all now understand what we mean when we're talking about life experience conversion to real life skills, right? Okay, so let's move on and let's take a look at CV building. So I'd like us to pay close attention to the screen, some of the templates that we have there, especially in terms of developing your CV. So we can see here, let's take a look on the screen now. Okay, so the person put curriculum vitae on top, which is okay, which is interesting. Their address, telephone number, date of birth, gender, marital status, and all that and all that. I am struggling to find the person's name on this document, on the CV. Can anybody find the person's name, or is it just me? Okay, so I think the person is missing. So we can see that one of the things that really jumps out to me, apart from the fact that it's disorganized, like we've mentioned, is the fact that, let's take a look at the work experience, for example. There's not much, they're not telling me much about what value that they added to that specific work experience or that workplace, right? They're telling me IT support assistant at ABC Electronics Limited. Okay. What value did you add to the organization? What did the organization get from you? And you may feel like, oh, why don't they wait till they ask me these questions in the interview? My darlings, I receive anywhere between 1,000 CVs for every vacancy I put out. I do not have the luxury of time to be interviewing every single person. So your CV first should be like your passport. Tell me who you are. Tell me why I need you for this role. Who you are and why I need you for this role. What is your experience and what values have you added to it? Another thing I like to note is that, especially in Nigeria now, there's really no need for you to put your full address, because ideally it's a security risk. So I can see that even though the good CV example has the full address, but I will advise against it because it's a security risk. Many people's CVs have ended up wrapping suya and boli. So you have no idea where that paper is going to go to. I know sometimes we send, or a lot of the times we send our CVs via email, but sometimes some companies still print it out for whatever reason or the other. So simply putting maybe you can put Ikotun Lagos, or you put like the area comma Lagos, or simply Lagos, Nigeria. It works just fine, right? But putting your full house address is a security concern. It's not necessarily one that says, oh, it makes your CV look bad, but it's just more of the ethics of it to ensure that you're keeping yourself safe, especially in this time. Right. Your date of birth, I would advise against it, and this is a personal decision. I'll tell you why. A lot of the time, some job roles in itself they have like age requirements, right? They'll tell you 25, not more than 25, not more than 26. But however, there are still a lot of roles that really don't care how old you are. But the moment they see your age, then they start to care. But if they already see that they want you for this role, without necessarily say, okay, 1985 or 1993 or 2003 or whatever, if it has to come up at a later date, as if they did not specifically say that, oh, we don't want anybody 25 and over, then that's fine. But if they've left it blank, you too leave it blank. No need to put your date of birth. It's just so that there's no hidden bias. There's some people who started out life a little later than they should have. Right? Don't let that be an already immediate bias. If it is required for the role, they will either state it there or in the interview they will ask. But let it be that your CV has taken you into that interview room because it's so well polished and it says, this person, I see something on this particular person's CV. I want to hear more. Right. But if I look at this now, the guy just says IT support assistant. Okay. Like me too, I'm an IT support assistant now. Shebi, I used to turn on the Wi-Fi and turn it off when I'm closing for the days. You know, the IT support assistant work. What value did you bring to ABC Electronics Limited? Same thing, he said IT admin. What value did you bring there? So take a look at this other side, under the work experience, right? And they're saying, oh, IT manager, mentoring and training new IT staff. So already at the back of my head, if my company in the technology department is considering an L&D program, Mr. David is a good option, right? So it may not necessarily be that all I'm doing is IT work, but I have experience in mentoring and training new people. If we want Mr. David to go and set up a new IT department in a new location, we can do that. I can give him that role because I see that he's done everything that is required: research, installing, configuration of new system, things like that. So when you're putting your CV together, especially in the work experience place, what value did you add to that role? State it out perfectly. I really don't need your picture on your CV. If you're not trying to come join a modeling agency or you're not trying to come and do an MTN advert, I really do not need your picture on your CV. Right? And another thing that pisses me off when it comes to people's CV is that sometimes you won't read through your CV. You will not put the wrong phone number. Instead of 34, you put 43. Imagine I want to call you for an interview. How am I going to reach you? You say email. How many times do people check their emails? I'm saying this very vehemently because this is coming from the real life experience I've had. We were trying to hire somebody for a role as legal assistant, right? And we sent the person an invitation to come for the interview. We didn't get any response. We called the person, and the number didn't go through. But the person showed up at the interview day. And then we asked him, sir, we didn't know you were coming for this interview. He said, Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to respond to the email. Okay, fine. That's one thing. We even tried to call you. Is this not your phone number? I said, no, this is not my number. It's supposed to be this, that. My question is it Nkechi that drafted your CV for you? How can you put a wrong phone number on the CV that you're circulating to many people? How can you put a wrong email address? So little things, those things matter, especially when you mistakenly say, oh, I'm very organized, I'm very detailed, and I pay attention to details, and your phone number is wrong. Who are you lying to? So those little things, you need to pay attention to them. And then another thing, lying about anything that you have on your CV, especially when you cannot back it up. So I'll give you an example. It's one thing for you to say that you have knowledge in probably maybe Microsoft Excel. Let's say you are a beginner level, right? And you say you have knowledge in it, right? That one is understandable because the expectation is that between now and when you especially get the job, you need to have brushed up on your Excel skills. But if you have completely zero experience in using Excel, like you don't even know how to put, like some people that are listening to me on this call that I say they don't know how to use Excel. Yes. Imagine putting that on your CV and say, oh, I'm good at using Excel. Imagine they open a computer there for you at the interview and say, okay, do some summations for me on this Excel, and you're not able to do that. Already that tells us two things. One, you have integrity issues, and two, you're very unprepared. So another thing, not selling yourself properly. I know that we spent the earlier part of the beginning of this session telling you about your life experiences, right? It should be almost impossible for anybody that has reached the age of 18 to put out an empty CV. So while they may not have paid you for it, but the volunteer experience is also important. I'm not going to go over that again because we have definitely covered that. So please sell yourself properly. The watchword, in this experience I've listed on my CV, what value did I add? Even educational wise, people go as far as adding their dissertation topic, that's their project topic, their 400 level project topic. But it's not just about the project topic. What value did you add to the academic community by that project topic? Yes, I know that it's your professor that gave you the topic, and I know that it's for you to advance his professorship career, but you are important too. Put what your conclusion, the conclusion of the project was. You studied the effects of different learning methodologies on young people in the workplace, and your conclusion was young people prefer blah, blah, blah. One small paragraph, add it. You are thinking value. Trust me, if you come to yourself, one of the first questions, okay, not the first, but one question we'll always ask you is about your project. Because there are many people, they would carry their project like this, hand it over to somebody, pay them. They will, after you've paid them and they've given it to you, you will still not take that extra effort to read the project that somebody has given to you. That is now where plenty of the problems now come from. So even if your project is not your CV, if you enter an interview session with me, I will ask. I'm looking for multiple things. I'm not just looking for you had a 2-1. I'm looking for your communication skills. I'm looking for your critical reasoning skills. I'm looking for your deductive reasoning skills as well. So when you enter interview sessions, you see that sometimes it's not going the right way. They'll be asking you some funny questions. Oh, what did you eat this morning? Oh, how did you get to this place this morning? I attended an interview one time, and the first thing they asked me was, oh, hi Nkechi, what is in your fridge right now? Already, as a Nigerian attending an interview, you're like, which one concern you? Concern was in my fridge. But they are looking for things. How do you speak? How do you think? What is your memory like? What is your recall like? Are you a scattered person? So it also falls back to the faith-fear conversation. If you're afraid, you will not be able to calm down and think. So let's move on. Time is going. So, right, I think this one is pretty much simple. Where to apply, where to job search. There are so many online job sites that you can use, social media pages of companies. So if you are targeting a particular type of company, go follow them on social media, follow them. A lot of the times they put out the job post there. A lot of the times you can just, you can get their contact details from there and send them an email to say that, oh, I'm interested in your company. I have this experience. I have this experience. I have that experience. I have those experience and things like that. So you're able to engage with them, understand what they are, understand what they like. And especially if you're called in for an interview, it is usually an abomination to walk into an interview with a company that you don't know anything about. It just shows that you are not interested in research. You're not even interested in the organization. And I'd like us to note something too. When we are doing job search, you're not just looking for the company it's not just the company that's looking for the best person to hire. You too, you are valuable. Is the company the right place for you? Does the company meet your own standards? Is the company going to be in line with where you are going to in your future? Because my expectation will be that in the next 5 years, I want to do this. In the next 10 years, I want to do this. Even if you're not even sure what 10 years will look like, well, I want to start out my career with this. You won't want to get into a job that is going to completely derail you from your goals and your plans. Networking events on and off, internships, industrial attachment. Yes, this is something I'd like to talk about, industrial attachment. I know that a lot of courses do it, but not all of them. But if you are privileged to do IT with an organization, please take that seriously. I have someone that is working here at the exchange that got his job here by doing his 6 months IT. He was in, was it FUNAB, right? Or one of the universities in Akure. And he came here for his 6 months internship, right? Through recommendation. This guy stands out so well in the organization, even though he was doing a 6 months thing. So some people will feel like, oh, okay, I want to just go at the end of the week, let them sign my log and let me get out of here. But it's an opportunity for you to learn. It's an opportunity for you to add value. And it's an opportunity for people to see you and say, you know what, I think I want to work with you. Even if you are not going to be retained in that particular place, but someone can recommend you elsewhere, right? The particular young man I was talking about was so diligent at his work here that on the day he was leaving and going back to school, they told him that, see, if you ever want a job here, we always have a job open for you. True to it, this guy went back to school, graduated, came back, he's serving here. So you can see for that person, you say, this person is favored, or this is one of God's favorite children. But imagine he was a lackadaisical person. There are some people here in some organizations, you are waiting for their IT to end so that they will carry their wahala and go. You are waiting for their NYSC to end so they'll carry their wahala and go. But there are some other people that they are saying, no, don't go. You don't have to go. You can stay here. We can do this. We can make this arrangement for you. So I'm very, very particular about all those informal arrangements because they tend to help people get into real life job experiences. So then physical applications. Let's move on. I'm running out of time. Yes. So how to apply? You've seen a job vacancy. It's not an informal route. How do you want to apply? Please read and read and read and read and read the job advert. Read it properly and be sure that what you have fits what they are looking for. But you have to remember that you have done a full complete look over yourself before you say that, oh, you don't fit that category, right? So follow the instructions. They will tell you this is how to apply. In the subject matter, please put the title of the job you're trying to apply for. I have seen so many job applications where people would open their emails, attach their CV, and click send. No subject, nothing in the body. I'm sure we all know what the subject is. That's this subject line. No subject line, nothing in the body. All they've done is open the email, put who they are sending it to, attach their CV, and click send. And you have just made my work easy. From when I'm scrolling through, especially if I'm using a manual system, people like that, I don't have to stress myself. I don't have to even open the CV. I just delete the application straight away because you are not the kind of person we are looking for. You're applying for a job and you're not able to construct a simple email to say that my name is this, I am excited to apply for this. I saw your advert here and I have the qualifications. Please find attached my CV to, I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. Simple, short, 1, 2, 3 paragraphs in the email, but people will still leave it blank. Till today, I don't know why they do that, because if you walk into an organization, right, just imagine you get to the front desk, you're holding your CV, you fling the CV at the receptionist or the front desk officer, the customer service officer, and you walk away. And the person opens the CV and says, so this person is applying for a job. Do you think that front desk officer will pass your CV to the HR officer or pass it into the trash? So while we may think that it's technology, but you're doing the same thing. No salutation, no greeting, no the purpose you are here for. You just thrown your CV at us via email. It's just that it was via email. So please think about the area you're going to. You want to become a professional in any field. Please think about it. Use a professional looking email. Please leave the sexyhola@gmail.com for your other private activities, but ideally not for applying for a job. Make it look professional. It could be your name, your surname. Just ensure that it doesn't raise any red flag. When except stated otherwise by the job application, your CV should be in PDF. Your CV should be in PDF. Please PDF your CV. It is the best way to do it, and I'll tell you why. Sometimes your Microsoft Word format may be different from the person that is going to open it. Sometimes you use some funny fonts, so probably some cursives up and down, and coincidentally, let's say the person is on vacation looking through the CV and they open it on their phone and the CV is scattered and all over the place. It's not your fault, but when you put it in the PDF format, it leaves it the way you have seen it. So I always advise people, please put the CV in the PDF format. And when you're sending, please check, read the email again. Be sure that you have attached your CV. You don't want to do all that work and we end up not getting your email, right? Okay, let's move on. I've shown this already. Okay, online job boards. I think I'll share this slide with the team so that they will share with you. So now, you have successfully gotten an interview. What next? You have successfully gotten an interview. What next? So this is actually very, very, very important. This is actually very, very important. Read the invitation carefully. Read the invitation carefully. Read the invitation carefully. What type of interview is it? Is it a physical interview? Is it a virtual interview? Pay attention to time zones. You may be attending a virtual interview with a company in the United Kingdom and the United States. Please be sure about the time zone. The UK and Nigeria time zone changes at certain times of the year. There are certain times of the year where we are on the same time. There are certain times of the year when they are behind. So pay attention to the time zone. If you see a time, an interview there that they say 3 p.m. West African time, that's WAT, or 3 p.m. GMT, or 3 p.m. GMT plus 2, plus 1, plus 0, or whatever. If you have to go and Google what it means, Google, what country are you interviewing with? You can Google and say, oh, if it is 4 p.m. in Nigeria now, what time is it in Bristol, United Kingdom? Just so that you don't have to make excuses to say, oh, I missed the times and all that. No, because remember, we are talking about the fact that, oh, we are organized. If you are organized, you would have paid attention to that detail. So please let it ring in your head. What is the time zone? Confirm the address. Check online. Go to their website, confirm the address of the place that you are going to. And also in the interest of safety as well, be careful. Sometimes some people use fake job interviews in kidnapping schemes, in ritual schemes, and all other things like that. So it's always good for you to be careful. Let somebody know where you're going. Be sure that the interview address is not in an uncompleted building. So usually what you will advise people, if it's possible, go at least an hour before. Or if you can, go the day before just to find that this is the right address, so that morning, whether it rains, whether the sun shines, or if you woke up a little later than you expected, you are not flustered, you're not shaking, you're not afraid. You go there. And when you get that interview invite, after reading everything, respond to that email saying, thank you so much for considering me or for shortlisting me for this interview. I'd gladly confirm my attendance. And you're looking forward to meeting with them. You can take it a step further. I'm gladly confirming my attendance for the interview on Monday, 7th of April, 3 p.m. prompt. Put it there. And please go on time. Right? So doing interview prep, go back again. If you still have access to it, read the job advert again. What is the role about? What is expected? What industry is that company in? So for example, if you're interviewing with us, we can ask you questions about the Securities and Exchange Commission because they are our regulator. We may ask you 1 or 2 questions about the capital market because that is our sector. So while we may not hold your answers against you, but it may differ you from the person sitting next to you that, okay, this person is a bit more prepared, right? So what is the company about? Go to their website, go to their social media, get something valuable. You can even get something that's a little funny that you can use to, tell them back. So for example, if you see that, oh, not funny, haha, funny, but interesting. So if you go on our social media page, you would have seen that there was a highlight that we did. We had a gold event November 7th, and we're talking about Pencom approving gold for as an investment asset. So if you can pick their interest when you sit down and say, oh, good morning, good afternoon, I'm glad to be here. Congratulations again on the success of your gold event that just happened November 7th. Interview has not started, though. People are already smiling that, okay, I think I like this person. So it's just, the conversation is, how am I giving myself an edge? Because there are a lot of intelligent people out there. There are a lot of intelligent people out there. There are a lot of first class, a lot of 2-1. The question is, how am I standing apart? Go over your CV and learn everything that is there, because they would ask, there's a question they always ask, tell me about your time at, so the time where you said you worked at so and so place, tell me about that time. So try to remember those experiences. And if you don't have anything good to say about the place where you worked in, maybe you should remove it though, especially if they're going to call the company to ask after you and you left on horrible terms. It might be best to just leave it out of the equation. Practice eye contact. Now, this is something I'm going to reiterate. You have to remember that when you're doing an interview, right, on a computer, it's slightly different from when you're doing it in a room. In a room, you know where the person's eyes are, right? And you are looking at them, you can look at them eyeball to eyeball. But sometimes when we are using our laptops or our phones, we forget that if you look at the screen, the other person looking at you would think you are looking down. You can do a practice, right? Just set up your phone camera, maybe after this session, and run a test. Look at the screen and look at the camera hole. You'll see, and watch the video back. You see that you're not exactly giving eye contact when you're looking at the screen. So looking at the camera gives them that, oh, this person is confident, okay, she's relaxed, he's relaxed, okay. Looking down, so this, I'm just giving us those little things that give you an edge. And please, even if it's a virtual interview, please dress well, and be conscious of the positioning of your camera. It's always good, especially if you're using a virtual device, to test if it's on Teams, on Google Meet, and you have not used it before. Beg your brother, beg your sister, please, I want to just join a quick call with you on Teams. I have an interview, I want to prepare, so you can see what's the best part of your house that is not so chaotic. I had a particular interview with someone, and she put the phone in a funny way. Unfortunately for her, she was not dressed so appropriately, right? When I mean dressed appropriately, it was a low-cut blouse, right? And then the camera was focused here on this area as opposed to her face. And that is all that we were seeing, this person was supposed to be applying for the role. So this person was supposed to be applying for the role of a lawyer, and literally everybody on the panel was seeing was that area. So to her, she may have dressed appropriately, but the angle of the camera did not help. So it's always good to run some tests, you know. If it's a virtual interview, just run a test. You can have someone log in with you, test that the team works, your audio. If you want to use an earpiece, is it working? Can you hear me? So that when you join in, you are not scrambling and they're saying, oh, I can't hear you. Oh, I can't see you. And please, if it's a virtual interview, turn your video on. Turn your video on, please. I think they're already telling me that we're running out of time, but I think I've covered all these ones. Arrive on time, just a little bit early, both virtual and physical. I completely understand that a lot of Nigerian employers have little respect for the time for interviewees, but let it be that they are the ones at wrong, not you, right? So arrive a little earlier. If it's virtual, join in 5 minutes beforehand, or you know, that you've tested your virtual platform. Dress appropriately, both virtual and physical. And even if you have to dress completely, because what happens if you have accidentally stand up, they say you're only wearing boxers. That's not a good look for you. That's not a good look for you. So you log in, you join in the interview session. Be excited. Be excited. Be excited about the session. Let it be like you're having a hearty chat. Let it be like they are engaging with someone that is happy to be there, not that you are frowning. And I can understand people get nervous at interviews. That is not, try not to let that be the case. One of the things that people like are happy people, cheerful people who are upbeat, and they are speaking well, they have the required experience, and they are engaging, they are responding to the questions well. Don't let it be like they just want to end the interview with you quickly. Let them be happy to be interviewing you. Okay? Don't look scared. I've noted that. There's a reason why I use this slide, because a lot of the times when people say, yay, I've got the job, they feel like that's it. You just quickly apply, respond, yes, I'm happy to accept the job, but you did not read the job offer. The terms and conditions you did not read may hook you in the future. So please read the job offer. If you don't understand what it says, find somebody that understands. Let them read it. Are you happy with the terms and conditions? Are you happy with the role that they gave you? Are you happy with the job description, or are they giving you 7 people's job for the salary of 1 person? Are you happy with the salary? Now, don't just look at the gross salary, look at the net. If you have to call them back and say, okay, I see that the gross is 375,200. What is my take home? Because they would remove pension. They will remove tax for either LIRS or whichever of the tax agencies, depending on your area. They can remove what's that other thing that they remove? The question you should ask them is, please, what would be the take home after all reasonable deductions, so that you know whether you agree. I had someone that accepted a job offer. It was stated clearly there, gross 150,000. The person accepted. By the time the person was taking home 143,000, she was complaining. I said, did you see gross or you saw net? So read it carefully. Gross means everything inclusive. Net means the take home, the one that eventually drops into your account. Okay? Look at the other terms. Do you have time off? Do you have leave? Is it 21 working days in a year? What are the terms and conditions of the leave? Can you take it at a stretch? Do you have to break it down? Are you expected to work full-time in the office, or you can do hybrid? Can you work from home sometimes? Sometimes they'll say who your reporting manager is, the title, when is your start date, is it a contract employment, where is the location of the work, and other relevant details. So my closure statement to you would be, congratulations, you've gotten the job offer, but there is a what next. While you jubilate, put that phone down and don't send accept until you have calmed down and read the job offer, because your celebration can quickly turn into disaster in such a short time.